Trails to Azure just came out a couple weeks ago on Steam with translation. First thing I realized is the new cast we were brought in with, such as Arlos, Dudley, and Noel in the beginning, not to mention new members to the SSS, such as Wazy and Noel. Randy comes back from his training, with his family being included into the story as well. As for the beginning combat encounters, I'm a bit disappointed. Melee attacks seem to be a bit too effective, especially for setting tone so early into the game of things being tough battles. This problem also dragged many hours into the game. Not only that, but Analyze is now a spell with no nerf attached to it. This is due to Tio being gone to do studies. I'm not really a fan of these elements as it lessens the combat towards the beginning, as I think you can experiment with enemies more in their design and make them harder to kill than just meleeing, but I did appreciate it connecting with the story. I was also not impressed by the intro boss. I feel like the strategic design was lacking, and what I mean by that is that it could have used way more mechanics. Later, I was introduced to a new mechanic, called Burst, which once charged through attacking can be used to give your team free turns and buff your entire party. I feel like this could have been introduced in a more meaningful way and maybe could have had a connection to story in some way as well. Trails to Azure's story and quests also take up many of the opening hours. Though I can respect their view on this, I do find it a bit odd to have urgent quests marked as such even when they seem so unimportant. Meaning some fetch quests, which I can only hope is to reintroduce the world and introduce some characters, which will be used up to build the story further into the game. My problem with this is that they are very, very boring. Please save my umbrella, please save my cat, please collect my hospital forms. Most of the beginning quests you take on are one note and skin deep. Of course, I hope these will be relevant because if this isn't the case, it will be following up the slow pace from the last game, when everyone should expect you've established enough of the world to be able to build off a smooth story. After some quests, Zero finally starts building up some tension and tries to introduce more interesting characters and plots relating to the main story. During these quests, in my couple hours into the game, combat is slightly sprinkled in, much less than Zero. They also upgraded your gear, allowing for a central orbment or master quartz, which gives you buffs in your beginning turns, the more you use it through level ups. But even in these cases of trying to switch things up and add mechanics, combat also takes a step back sometimes, in which this encounter happens. So far, this is the worst encounter ever, and actively punished you having to restart the battle since even trying to find their weakness makes you die without any time. The correct solution is to retry, lower the difficulty, and hope you have more turns before these guys do. Not only that, but arts also cost more, and I mean practically double in some cases, which helps in dumbing down the system and underutilizing nerfs, buffs, AoE moves, and positioning. Remember in my last videos on Trails games when I said hopefully they add more meaningful encounters? Well, it's hard to do that when you try dumbing down everything, go figure. I don't understand why at this point Trails doesn't add planned encounters like in Chrono Trigger. To close back with the story and quests, I'm not sure if I didn't realize it before, but some of how you discover things in this game is due to bullshit, such as getting plans that an important building was being attacked because the villain who set the trap plastered the images of it in the base in front of where you're looking at, when he knew you were also coming. How about enemies revealing more information than they should as a literal tip for coming to talk to them? I do realize Trails takes itself less seriously, but I would love to have things feel more earned and less like a game within a game. As for the pacing of the story, where I left off at, after all these fetch quests, it finally starts with a conference of many important figures, and you guarding over it. I would have hoped that this was introduced earlier instead of 10 hours into the game. So in conclusion, so far, combat in Azure is a bit more unbalanced, and story's a bit better paced than the last game, for a game that is focusing more on it, that is. So, those are my impressions on Trails to Azure. I hope you liked the video and subscribe, comment if you want to say anything, and bye.